This episode was very underwhelming. It kind of disappointed me, I'm not gonna lie. I logged into my computer, about to watch the episode. I was rubbing my hands, licking my lips. I was so hype. I was like, yes, Gojo's gonna fight the disaster curses. And then a whole episode about Yuji fighting a cockroach. Sorry, a grasshopper, same thing. Today's episode was technically supposed to be Gojo fighting the disaster curses, right? And then after, it would cut to Yuji versus the grasshopper, and then it would cut back to Gojo. At first, I was fuming. I was like, wow, like Mappa Studio are really gonna do this to us. Are you serious? But then I saw the episode title for next week's episode, and when I saw that I was like, okay. JJK fans, we are gonna have a collective heart attack next week, trust me. I can kind of respect their decision now, and I won't be surprised if it was actually Gege's decision, because we had a few chapters of Gojo fighting and then later on it cut to Yuji. So with this episode focusing on Yuji's fight with the grasshopper is actually much more understandable. You know, it's gonna make the flow of the fights even more better, in my opinion. Just seeing Gojo enter the Shibuya station and seeing him engage with the curses and them attacking him, that was the best part of the episode, bro. And that was only a few minutes. That's how crazy it is, you know what I mean? The main part of the episode, guys, is what I really want to get into, because what the hell is going on with the amount of ghosting we're seeing, bro? I wasn't expecting the ghosting to be this horrendous as it is. Ever since season 2 started, especially when you look at the first 5 episodes of the Gojo past arc, there wasn't that much ghosting, you know what I mean? And that was only 5 episodes. Yeah, there were a few scenes which were ghosted just a little bit, but for the most part, you know, the reason why that arc was so good was the lack of ghosting. You know, we could actually see what was going on, and it's quite concerning. This is the 3rd episode of Shibuya, technically, right, if you include episode 6, and we've seen this much ghosting. Last week's episode with Mahito versus Mekamaru, I thought the ghosting and that was bad. Today's episode took it to a whole nother level. Like when Yuji was fighting that grasshopper, yeah, it was cool. There were cool moments, you know, here and there in the episode. I had no idea what the hell was going on. Even got to a point I turned up the brightness on my laptop and my computer and I still couldn't see shit. Listen, man, I'm sorry, man. I have to keep it real with you guys, because this type of animation, it can't run, fam. You know, like with Mahito and Mekamaru, when Mahito was running through the forest, that scene would have been so much better if they didn't ghost it. Bro, it looked like Yuji was trying to airbend. Like, what the was that? Honestly, I don't want to criticize Mappa Studio too much, because I understand their scheduling and I understand the pressure that I'll put on these animators. I don't want to disrespect them or criticize them, but the moments we want to see the most as manga readers, and even the moments we saw in the trailer, like, I'm just advising all of you guys watching the video, have reasonable expectations. I'm not saying that the upcoming episode or the fight scenes are going to be terribly animated. That's not what I'm saying at all. But just expect there to be a lot of ghosting. I'm just thinking about the Sukuna moment that's going to happen in this season. I think they are going to ghost that to Kingdom Come. Today's episode, the animation wasn't really the best. It wasn't terrible, but it wasn't like Mappa's standard. That's to be expected. I don't have a problem with that, because usually in shonen battle anime, there's going to be certain fight scenes which are going to have more care attended to them. But next week's episode, I'm quite worried, because Gojo has a very big moment in that episode, and I have a feeling they're gonna ghost that. And if you're a manga reader, you know exactly what I'm talking about. This video is not even going to be a review. This is more of a discussion, because there's nothing really for me to analyze in today's episode. What do you want me to talk about? Yuji fighting this grasshopper. This shot was so disgusting, bro. I was like, what am I watching right now, fam? I'm so glad that Yuji circumcised this grasshopper, because I'm not trying to see that. I still believe that Mappa Studio are going to do a good job with the Shibuya arc, but so far it's been quite conflicting, because, for example, the brief animation and the scenes we got with Gojo and the curses was great. Especially Choso, the way Choso used blood manipulation and it just bounced off his infinity. That shit looks sick. This episode was purposely done as a setup for next week's episode. You know, we even saw Geto speaking to Jogo about trying to handle Gojo for like 20 minutes before he comes in with the prison realm. So we know that next week is gonna pop off, but you have to be very critical when you analyze the animation quality. You know, it's nothing against Mappa Studio, like I said before, but the ghosting and the dimming is actually driving me a bit nuts. There were good things about this episode. The voice actress for Uwe Uwe is the same one who does Boruto, and that's just perfect casting in my opinion. Like Uwe Uwe, he was funny in this episode. There was an anime original moment in the beginning of the episode where he was holding Mei's things and he put down like a cloth for her to sit on. Like they did that perfectly. He basically worships his sister like she's a goddess. It's actually kind of creepy, and you know, you're gonna see that soon. The voice is just perfect because that's what I expect him to sound like, so they did a very good job with the casting there. I did like the balance of Gojo scenes with the Yuji, Mei and Uwe Uwe scenes, but I do believe that Yuji versus the Grasshopper, it took too much screen time. Yuji versus the Grasshopper is a minor fight. Honestly, they could have actually cut this fight out of the anime, really and truly. And the interesting thing is, when Yuji was fighting the Grasshopper, they didn't actually extend anything from the manga. It was actually a one-to-one adaptation, which really surprised me because I actually thought they added things in there. You know, it's been a long time since I read those chapters, so even though I'm excited for next week's episode, I'm not expecting the fight to look bad at all because we've seen it in the trailer. It looks amazing, right, from the shot we had, but I'm just going to keep a lookout for the dimming and the ghosting. It's not going to take away from my enjoyment because I really enjoyed last week's episode, you know. I still think that so far, that is the best JJK action episode. I have to talk about these issues of ghosting and dimming, you know. I'm not going to sit here and lie and sugarcoat things, you know what I mean? All of us are hyped for Shibuya, and if this is going to continue, the enjoyment of this season is going to go down. Yeah guys, I just wanted to put this video out there. Comment down below, let me know what you think about the episode, about the ghosting, about the pacing. Did you enjoy the episode? Did you not? Let me know down below. Like, share, subscribe, and until next week, stay blessed.